So, hello, criminology students. Welcome to this page. I am having now my lecture on comparative models of policing, and I hope that you are doing well today. So, for this subject, we will be discussing about the models of policing and of course, its significance in terms of law enforcement and law enforcement agencies. We will be talking about procedures applied and types of leadership applied in policing within the context of law enforcement, not only in the Philippines but also in other countries. So, first is in chapter 1, we will be talking about or we will be discussing about the introduction to policing. So when we say policing, it is always related to the work of the police and the police officer. So typically, police are responsible for maintaining public order and safety, enforcing the law, preventing and detecting, as well as investigating criminal activities. So with uh, the complexity of crimes nowadays, it is impossible to rely upon one mode of policing system. So in this discussion, we will be discussing on uh, the the role of the police also in terms of its government, no, government section when it comes to its detection. Kasi yung role of the police is basically it is anchored on the mandates of the government, particularly since in the government there are three branches, uh, the judiciary, the executive, and the legislative. So when it comes to policing, it is anchored in terms of the executive branch of government. Now, in terms of policing, police plays a significant role. No? So the role of police in social life, so basically the police are considered to be a watchman. They are also considered as law enforcer, and the last one, service provider. So let us discuss about this watchman. Now, law enforcers are those, or the police itself does not only enforces the law, but also it safeguards the lives of the people. That is why it is considered as a watchman. So if we will trace back the uh, development of the police organization way back, there is a term which is watchmen. Watchmen are those who stay awake at night, keeping safe and uh, safety place for the people while they are sleeping. And the second one is a law enforcer. So the police itself is a law enforcer. They enforces the law, arrest the criminals. Those violators will be arrested uh, because, as I have said, they are under the executive branch of the government. So whatever is being formulated, mandated by law, so police officer will enforce that. And the last is uh, service provider. So a police organization, the police itself, does not only act as a law enforcer or a watchman. Mostly, uh, most of the time, no, when it comes to their police community relations, they act as service providers, responding to the call of emergency, help the community other than such as other than law enforcement, no, such as for example there are activities uh, which they need, their presence is needed, so they provide services to the community. Also, we have here uh, the concept policing. no? The concept of policing. So basically, when we say policing, it is activities carried out by police officers in order to preserve the law and order. So this is the basic functions of the police. So in the Law Enforcement Code of Ethics, it was stipulated that police officers will serve the community, safeguard lives, and preserve peace and order. So what are the basic goals of policing? When we say policing itself, this is different from law enforcement. Of course, policing, this is a procedure in which the police and the community work together to prevent the commission of crimes, commission and prevention of any crimes and preservation of peace and order. So, number one is enforce the law. So, it is understandable that police I they are tasked to enforce the law. No? Uh, when it comes to violations, they will arrest, they will conduct investigation, they will search in this case. The second one is to preserve peace. Now, police officers are tasked especially to preservation of peace as well as prevent crimes. Prevention of crimes can be done through the conduct of patrol, no, especially also in preservation of peace and protect the civil rights of the people. This can be done into conducting patrols, into conducting investigations. And basically, there are two types of patrols being conducted by the police, the proactive patrol and the reactive patrol. So when we say the proactive patrol, when it comes to preservation of peace, prevention of crimes, and protection of civil rights and liberties of the people, uh, this proactive patrol is conducted, no, to prevent. So it means before anything happened within the context of the community, within the uh, context of crimes, prevention of crime, proactive patrol is conducted to prevent any future happenings or any future crimes to be committed. While on the other hand, when we say a reactive patrol in relation to prevention of crimes, these are activities relative to patrol that is conducted by the police or police officers when crime happened in the community and the police wanted to prevent another crime to occur within that community. That is the reactive patrol or reactive actions towards crime prevention. No, it prevents another crime to be committed within that community or within the community. And of course, provide services. So in case that there are floods, in case that there are disasters, calamities, police officers are the one who will respond within the scene to help those who are in need. So if you happen to see rescue operations, you uh, fire suppression activities. In case of fire, police are always there, no, to provide services and to help those who are in need. Aside from that, there are other services that the police also conducted to help the community, such as aiding in terms of or other services such as issuance of police clearance and other clearances, as well as uh, assistance to the community when it comes to planning about crime prevention, and many more services that they provide. So when it comes to policing, there is policing or there is a doctrine in which this policing is anchored. It is the doctrine of policing by consent. So when we say policing by consent, It is a doctrine which states that police are substantially an armed body who rely upon community support and goodwill. So the police alone cannot, by this doctrine, it says that the police alone is or unable to perform their task when it comes to crime prevention. Because accordingly, crime prevention is everybody's concern. Now, if we will all rely our safety, the peace and order of the community to the police organization alone, to the police officers, surely it is ineffective. It is parang hindi yan magiging successful, no? Because the police needs the support of the community for the policing and preservation of peace and order is always a partnership between police and the community. So when we define this doctrine of policing by consent, it dictates that the legitimacy of policing in the eyes of the public is based upon a general consensus of support that follows from transparency about their powers, their integrity in exercising their powers, and their accountability for doing so. Also, this is based upon the support and goodwill of the people. So, policing by consent means that the people allows the police to perform their tasks, their duties and responsibilities with the support and cooperation of the people. No? Because police itself, the policing itself will become ineffective without the support of the community and the goodwill of the people. Okay. Now let's proceed to police discretion in policing. So when we say discretion, there is a judgment in when it comes to police, no, decision making. So this is about the freedom of judgment and choice given to police officers in specified circumstances in accordance with the governing policies. Due to police discretion, police officers have a range of choice to make when faced with certain situation. So it is very important in policing when it comes to police discretion. Why? Because police officers, especially when exercising in the field, they face or they are tasked and assigned with least supervision. And policing, when it comes to implementation of policing, police officers should have a good judgment in every situation. Because when it comes to wrong decisions and over exercise of their discretion will result into uh, legal uh, legal sanctions. Uh, Say for instance, a police officer will be or will arrest a person without following over exercise of his discretion, without following the protocols, without following the legal procedures when to arrest a person. So in that case, he is exercising overly his discretion. So the nature and the work of the police, or nature of the work of the police, is on matters that the exercise of discretion is always uh, necessary, no, always needed, dahil yung police, trabaho ng police is especially if they will be assigned to the field, alangan namang they need to have the supervision of their officers, so the exercise of discretion is very important. Okay, now let's proceed to kanina ka pa sir, kanina ka pa say that discretion is important. Discretion is part of the work of the police. Now, let us discuss what is really discretion is. Now, based on the definition, discretion is the freedom to decide what should be done in a particular situation. Now, this discretion is upon the disposal of the police without the supervision of their chief of police or any supervisors. No? Upon the disposal of individual police officer depending upon the situation. Say for instance, they are responding to a crime incident. It is upon their disposal. Kumbaga, nasa sa kanila na yon how they will use this discretion. Their freedom to decide what will be done or what should be done within that particular situation. Now, going back to the definition of the subject itself, the comparative models of policing. So when we say comparative, we are determining similarities and differences. We are comparing two or more policing styles, not only in the Philippines, but also to include countries or prominent police organization all over the world. When it comes to their models and to their approaches in their police organizations, which they have used or currently being used in their police organization. Now, let us discuss the difference of law enforcement versus policing. Sometimes these two terms are used interchangeably. However, there is a very big difference between the two. Now, first, let us define the law enforcement followed by the policing. And let us identify the difference between the two. Okay? Both are functions, primary functions of the police. Okay. So when we say enforcement, law enforcement, this pertains to enforcing the law. It should be, there should be no changes. There is no unwavering adherence to the rules and procedures. And it is always focused on certain law, with little regard to reasons or meaning of particular law, and it requires community members to comply on particular law. And the response to crime is a singular approach. Now, when it comes to policing, crime fighting is through community service and problem solving, as well as it works with people to solve crime. The police engage into partnership with the community through participative process. Now, when it comes to the law enforcement and policing, law enforcement itself is compulsory. Compulsory in the sense that the law itself is already established and the people should follow, or the police should enforce. Why I use should? Okay? Because it is, as I have mentioned, compulsory. Now, it is compulsory for us to obey the law. What is being promulgated, any breach of that, any breach of the law, uh, will be enforced properly. No? So, kailangan na when it comes to law enforcement, this is compulsory participation, compulsory compliance with the law. Members of the community should comply. No? Uh, but in policing, this is a big different story. It should be participative in nature. It means that the community, whether to participate, whether to comply or not, it's up to the community. That's policing. No? Kung gusto mong mag-follow what is being implemented by the police when it comes to crime prevention, pwedeng uh, you will join or not, you will cooperate or not when it comes to policing. But in terms of law enforcement, say for instance, uh, uh, wearing of helmet, uh, wearing of helmet. Now, when it comes to wearing of helmet, there is a law enforcing that no actions or that situation. The community should follow because it is compulsory, and violation of that will be subject to sanctions. That is law enforcement. When it comes to policing, it is a different story. Say for instance, um, the police will say that you may opt to not go out during nighttime for you not to be victimized by a crime. Now, in that instance, kumbaga, uh, magiging it's up to you if you will apply it or not, no? So, that's the difference. Now, law enforcement, there is a law and it's compulsory. Policing, it is a program which your participation depends upon your judgment. Okay? So, here, as I have mentioned, law enforcement, your compliance is necessary. Policing, your adherence is voluntary. Now, let us discuss the beginning of modern policing. In policing system, police officers, okay, uh, develop a policing system. Now, the first person who is known about the policing is Henry Fielding. Henry Fielding is a magistrate in London who founded the Bow Street Runners. This is the group of uh, law enforcement agents who apprehended criminals and recovered stolen property from the entertainment district. So, during this time in 1748, uso na yung red light sa kanila, yung red light district, yung mga maraming bars, siguro meron pang prostitution doon, no? Uh, so, these Bow Street Runners uh, aided or helped in the prevention of peace and order in London during that time. Also, Henry Fielding, he increased the awareness of the community about social and criminal problems through his writings because he is a writer. He also organized the first group, no, first group which is tasked to prevent crimes using public funds. The first paid by government's police organization is the Bow Street Runners. And of course, credited with his contribution in the field of policing. Next is we have Patrick COLQUHOUN. No? He developed the science of policing, and also he suggested that police function must include detection of crime, apprehension of offenders, and prevention of crime through their public presence. So with this public presence of the police, this is the first instance in which the concept of police omnipresence was developed. Okay? So I know that you have already a background about what is police omnipresence. Okay. Uh, Police omnipresence is that it suggested that the presence of the police deters would-be criminals to engage into crimes because of the fear of apprehension. So it creates psychological fear for those who want to commit crimes, not to commit because surely they will be apprehended afterwards due to the presence of the police in the public. Okay? So this is the suggestion of Patrick COLQUHOUN. Also, he says that there should be a separation of power of the police and other government agencies for the purpose of check and balance, who will now determine the effectiveness and efficiency of police organization when it comes to crime prevention and uh, preservation of peace and order without check and balance. So he says that there should be separation of power. So we are applying this now in our police organization because there is check and balance, of course. So the police is supervised by the DILG or Department of Interior Local and Local Government. No? Also, it is under the supervision of the mayor as well as the supervision of the National Police Commission. So there is already a separation of power for the purpose of check and balance to determine the effectiveness and efficiency of police organization. Another person in the name of Sir Robert Peel, he established the London Metropolitan Police Force. This is the first world modern police. Now it is called as Scotland Yard Police. So the primary objective is, of course, crime prevention. He is credited as the father of modern policing with his principle. Itawag natin ni siya or tinatawag natin itong Pillian Principle, which states that the police are the public and the public are the police. Meaning, the police are the public and the public are the police can be interpreted into partnership. There should be a partnership between the public and the police. Okay? Because crime prevention will not work without the partnership of the two or partnership of both concerned. That is why in the previous slides, I mentioned that crime prevention is everybody's concern based on this Pillian principle, which is considering police and the public are the same. No? Uh, Next, in the Pillian principle, it contains three core ideas. Okay? With 9 principles. So, the first one is crime prevention is the main purpose why the police organization exists. The second one is the Pillian principle about partnership of the community. And the third one is about the police actions. when it comes to dealing with uh, the community. So, police should be civil and courteous to the people because police is not only for crime prevention but also a service organization, meaning they provide services to the community. So, uh, when it comes to Robert Peel's police, he organized the bobbies or the pillars. Now, let's go to the nine principles of Robert Peel when it comes to crime prevention. The first one is to prevent crime and disorder as alternative to the repression by military force and severity of legal punishment. So, alam naman natin, alam ko you are familiar with this, prevention is better than cure. So, according to Robert Peel in his principle is that to prevent crimes is better alternative than undergoing legal sanctions. So prevention is better than cure. Number two, to recognize always that the power of the police to fulfill their functions and duties is dependent on the public approval of their existence, actions, and behavior, and on their ability to secure and maintain public respect. Now, why there is police? No? The police itself exists because of the public. Basically, uh, the police or there is no police. Walang police pag wala silang siservisyohan. Diba? Tulad din namin. Tulad din as your professor, as your instructor, walang professor pag walang students. Now, to recognize the importance of police organization, there should be acceptance and con- conforming with what is accepted by the community. Kasi when the police is not also respected in the community, wala ring halaga. There is no value at all that the police exists without the respect of the community. Okay? Now, public respect is important. Uh, because, as what I have said, uh, pag walang respect yung public to the police, it is useless. No? The police itself cannot implement law enforcement and policy. The third one also is to recognize always that to secure and maintain the respect and approval of the public also means securing of the willing cooperation of the public in task of securing observance of the law. So, we always mention this, that police, yes, a police in the community must have partnership. This partnership should be strong and there should be mutual respect. It is impossible to establish good relationship without respect. Uh, Respect should be the baseline for maintaining cooperations of the community. Okay, let's proceed to number four, four principle. Now, in the fourth principle, there is uh, importance to recognize always that the extent to which cooperation of the public can be secured diminishes proportionality the necessity of the use of physical force and compulsion for achieving police objectives. Now, when the police will be able to have or will be able to gain the respect and cooperation of the community, no need. for the application of any force for the police to achieve its goal. Because the people itself will help the police achieve this. Okay? So for number 5, principle, for the police to seek and preserve the public favor, not by pandering to public opinion, but to constantly demonstrating absolute impartial service to law, in complete independence of policy, and without regard to the justice or injustice of substance of individual law, by ready offering of individual service and friendship to all members of the public, without regard to their wealth or social standing, by readily or ready exercise of courtesy and friendly good humor, and by ready offering of individual sacrifice in protecting and preserving life. So to summarize this, the police itself, for them to maintain the respect and cooperation of the community, they must be impartial in dealing with their clients. It means that they will not look into the financial status, they will not look into the position of the person, but to serve all, to serve all their uh, clients, always exercising courtesy and friendly manner. Okay? And of course, a police must be willing to protect and preserve the life of the people for them to have the respect. Next, 9 principles of Robert Peel in number 6. To use physical force only when exercise of persuasion, advice, and warning is found to be insufficient to obtain public cooperation, to an extent necessary to secure observance of the law or restore order, and to use only minimum degree of physical force, which is necessary on any particular occasion for achieving the police objective. So basically, uh, excessive use of force is allowed only when necessary. So, according to the Pillian principle, the use of force is not necessary always to be used. If the situation can be handled through persuasion, through uh, cooperation, advice, or warning, this uh, exercise of use of force is not necessary at all. Okay? Number 7, to maintain at all times a relationship with public that gives reality to the historic tradition to the police or the public, and to the public are the police. The police being only member of the public who are paid to give full-time attention to duties which are incumbent only to every citizen in the interest of community welfare and existence. So, of course, this pertains to uh, the work of the police, not only to protect but also to consider the cultural backgrounds of the community where they are detailed. So, kaya nga ngayon, we have this localization in the police organization because it is more effective for them to be assigned in their place kung saan sila galing, kasi they have already known the cultural and historic tradition of the place, and madali lang sa kanila, it is easy for them to adjust on the cultural values because they are part of the community. They know the people within the community. So it is about the cultural traditions, the backgrounds for the people to be uh, in good relation with the police. The last two is number 8, to recognize always the need to strict adherence of police executive functions and to refrain from even seeming to usurp the power of judiciary of avenging individuals or the state and the authoritatively judging the guilt and punishing the guilty. So the police itself is only part of the executive branch of government. Meaning, the police cannot give judgment, cannot perform judiciary functions. Why? Because they are not the authority to give that sanction. Only to exercise law enforcement, to exercise the function of the executive branch of the government. Because when they will avenge individual, kung say for instance, somebody who committed an offense or a crime, and then pagkatapos, they will give judgment. They will give judgment. So it will happen that the police itself will not be effective in their functions because they have these police executive functions covering the executive branch of the government only. Without ano ba tawag? Hindi sila nakakalabag kung anong functions nila. Diyan lang talaga. Hindi dapat na mag-exercise sila sa judiciary or even the legislative functions because they are not mandated with that. And the last, no, I apologize for the wrong number. No, the last is number 9. To recognize always that the test of police efficiency is the absence of crimes and disorder and not the visible evidence of police actions in dealing with them. Always remember, no, it's not about the process. It's about the results. Kumbaga, kahit ano pang ginagawa mo dyan, kahit ano pang execute mo, everything na ginagawa ng police. It's not the test of police efficiency. Hindi yan ang basihan na sila ay efficient or effective in their functions. Hindi ibig sabihin may ginagawa ka, effective ka na. It's not. It is the result of your actions that will be measured or will speak about your efficiency. Hindi kailangan na makita nila, 'di ba? Meron dito yung sa Facebook common, yung rabbit at carrot. May rabbit at may dalawang rabbit, dalawang carrots. Yung isa, isang rabbit, mayabong yung dahon. Konti yung laman. Yung isa naman, konti ang dahon, pero malaki yung laman. The same with this principle. Police efficiency is not on numbers of activities conducted by the police, but the measurement is on crimes itself. It's not about the process, it's not about the activity, it's about the result. Always in police efficiency.